It's the Exit 52 podcast, presented as always by Jimmy's Famous Seafood. Monday night, September 22nd, quarter to midnight here on the East Coast. My name is Jake Louque. I'm joined by Brian. I am joined by Taylor. And guys, the Baltimore Ravens are now 1-2, having dropped this Monday night football matchup to the Detroit Lions 38-30 in a contest that was close for a little while, and then it felt like they kind of got outclassed down the stretch there. We'll get into all of it, but first, Taylor, how you doing tonight?
I've been better, Jake. I've been better. Not the most fun game to watch in a lot of different ways that we will get into. The only thing positive for me is that this is an hour earlier. That's literally the only thing I can take away from doing one of these now from Chicago is you just get an extra hour. But other than that, not the most positive night.
I envy you like every single time we do these, but particularly the prime time. It's just, and especially after a loss, and especially after just a dick kick of a loss like this. Brian, I'm absolutely sure you know how that feels having been in the house tonight.
Yeah, that was gutless, man. Absolutely gutless. One of those nights where everybody in the building seemed to want to bring it and bring some juice, and the team gave them absolutely nothing to root for, like so very little. I mean, there's a third down and long touchdown pass to Mark Andrews. I mean, I guess that was like a big positive, but otherwise it was just like death by 1,000 cuts, just getting run over constantly, getting no push up front. They just got bullied. They got outmanned. They got outcoached. They got outprepared. They just got beaten every way possible. And I can't. There's so few times in recent years where that's been true. The Eagles game last year comes to mind. There was a extreme dud down in Miami on a Thursday night that I feel like we've all forgotten about in the Lamar era.
Oh, I remember very well.
Yeah, me too.
Just
that was brutal.
It feels honestly a little amazing that they were even competitive in this game, given how many times it felt like we just got punched in the gut, whether it be failure to convert on third downs or 7 sacks. I mean, I feel like that's double the amount that Lamar's ever allowed in his recent years. What do we make of the Derrick Henry fumble? Like, what the fuck's going on with that? That's supposed to be one of the things that you shouldn't even have to worry about. So, I mean, what do you even say to that? Let's find a positive here. 3 penalties, 10 yards. Great job. Really good job.
What's the thing they do after in the locker room? Whoop. 3 penalties, 10 yards. Whoop.
Whoop. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I'm amazed through 3 games here, and maybe I should wait to get into kind of the bigger picture stuff, is just like this offense just cannot get enough time on the field. Between the two sides of the ball, I don't have the numbers in front of me for the first 2 games, but I feel like the offense got about 50 total offensive snaps in each of those games. Tonight they got 54, and that number, depending on how you look at it, is a little inflated by that last drive. It just feels like the other team is playing more complimentary football than us. Even in the Browns game to some degree, they kind of did what they had to do the first 20 to 25 minutes of that game last week, where they kind of dictated the terms. The Ravens aren't dictating the terms right now, and it feels like they have all the tools to dictate the terms against any team they play. So I'm baffled by it. So
what
I'll
you've
let you guys
hypothetically built your team to do, right? I mean, that's supposed to be the whole thing with Derrick Henry. You've got a great complement of weapons. We were just a week ago talking about how deep this receiving core is, and through times that, through points throughout, tonight, you could see that. Certainly not as much in the running game. You had the early touchdown run by Henry, which was great. But man, it just felt like 2 teams that one of which maybe feels like it's kind of in decline in all of those aspects, and one of which feels like it's still very much in the throes of it, with Detroit being able to play that complementary ball that you mentioned, Brian. They were so strong on both sides of the line. The Ravens are the antithesis of that right now. Situationally, they're super smart. You talk about gutless. I mean, you're gutless B right now. You want to talk about guts? I mean, Dan Campbell going for that 4th and 2. Everyone in their mother knew he was going to do that. It was going into commercial break, going to the 2-minute warning. Comes out, Goff with the play action, perfect throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who got held by Marlon Humphrey on the play, winds up essentially icing the game. I know the Ravens would get the garbage time touchdown after that, but overall, I mean, I look at this roster with the Ravens and it just doesn't make sense to me. But man, I have trouble looking at this as a championship caliber team right now, especially looking at Detroit, who, after watching them just bully the Ravens on both sides of the ball and what they did to the Bears last week, it just feels like two teams going in kind of different directions. And it feels like watching that Lions team, that's probably how we felt, 4 or 5 years ago, but it just feels like, to your point, where's the guts? Where's the energy? Where's the juice? Where's the going for it on fourth down? Where's Harbaugh waving them back onto the field? Where's the energy? They just feel a little in their own heads. They feel timid. Henry fumbling 3 times in 3 games. You can't really explain that, but it feels part and parcel with it. And man, I just I'm sort of at a loss for words, but I'm also, I don't know. I'm very down on this team. Taylor,
yeah. When they've lost games in recent years, it feels like there are just incidents. Like there's a bunch of whoopsies, and the Henry fumble is the whoopsie in this game, but you still carve that play out, and they just got beat. They just got beat up and down the field the entire night.
Even with the Henry fumble, it's not as if after the opening drive offensively of the second half, they were that good or efficient offensively. So who's to say they even drive down the field and make something of it? I mean, I wasn't that impressed with them.
Yeah.
After the throw to Andrews to start the second half by Lamar, when you thought, okay, maybe they get rolling from there. They kind of figured that out coming out of the half. I think we have to get to it. Just bad play on both sides of the lines tonight. That was obviously the dominant storyline. If you're in Ravens social media, if you're in a group text or whatever, was the discussion about both the offensive and defensive line. The big kind of forgotten thing going into the game with all the hype about Monday Night Football and everything was Justin Madubuike is Nnamdi Madubuike. God, speaking of 5 years ago, is a massive loss. And that showed tonight, all throughout the defensive play. No ability to stop the run without him in the game. No ability to generate a real effective pass rush for most of the game. And if you're not going to heat up Jared Goff, he is going to sit back there and do his thing. And you kind of saw the few times they were able to heat him up, and as with most quarterbacks, but he doesn't obviously have the escapability of a Mahomes or a Lamar or a Josh Allen or even a Justin Herbert. And they didn't really make his life hard at all tonight. There were not many hits on the quarterback. I mean, Lamar got hit many times throughout the game, not just the sacks, but, obviously, trying to scramble out of things and gaining 1 or 2 yards on scrambles. Like Jared Goff is probably going to get on the team plane tonight and feel awesome because they did nothing to make his night hard. And part of that is you can't stop the run, and you have 2 really, really effective running backs for Detroit that complement each other really, really well. And they did nothing to make any of those guys' lives hard. And it goes back to what you said, Brian, like they were not physical at all. Like Detroit was physical in more physical than the Ravens in every single aspect of the game. So, you look at it and like you guys said, we'll get into the big picture stuff probably more to end the show, but they have some major issues to address if Madubuike is out long-term. They do not have, obviously, you don't have a replacement for an all-pro caliber player like that just sitting in the building, but they're going to have to go figure something out because you can't just sit here and make it a lost season because you lost one player. Obviously, Van Noy out as well. That hurts them too. But that was very, very concerning as you move forward into a game against the Chiefs where you can't let Patrick Mahomes stand back there, and I don't care who he has as his receivers, kind of have all day to throw. So, it's a concerning performance in a spot where, even if maybe you're a little outmanned due to injury, you'd hope the fight would have been a little bit more there in the second half. And I just thought they looked frazzled generally. Like Lamar looked frazzled. Derrick Henry's reaction to the fumble was bizarre, quite frankly. And I understand it's a guy that is a super proud, regimented, hard worker that probably just can't believe this is happening. But man, you've been in the NFL for over a decade. And you're running to the sideline kind of reacting that way. And it makes you start to go into those, okay, what is the mentality overall of the group if guys are reacting in that way? And it's easy to overanalyze things that happen on the sideline. But that was a very, very strange one. It's just bizarre. The entire performance was bizarre after really like, okay, Lions go down and start the game, score. You come back and respond. It's like, okay, maybe this is going to be a punch for punch situation. And eventually the Ravens took too many punches and got knocked out. So,
yeah, watching it on TV, Brian Taylor and I have the different perspective. Like, I'm reminded in a lot of ways of that Eagles loss last year. And what really reminds me of it is the fact that they just looked like they didn't want to be out there. Straight up. Like, Lamar looked frustrated, like pretty early on, like, jawing with the sideline and kind of having that look on his face where he's a little pissed off, and not in like kind of the funny way that he does sometimes where he's like, oh man, I didn't like get that extra yard or whatever. Man, they kind of looked miserable out there from almost the word go. And I saw somebody comment earlier, I think it's sort of lost at this point. Apologies for not crediting properly, but somebody used the word, this team is stale. And man, that's going to be rattling around in my head for a little while. Like, it just feels like it feels like they take at least one of these losses a year now. And now here you are, you're heading into week 4 and you're 1-2. You've already taken one. You got some more tough games down the line in your schedule. And we'll certainly get more into the future of it all. But it's just like, how many times are we just going to keep running this back? And for all the people with the fire Harbaugh comments and stuff in there, it's like, at this point, I'm of the opinion that he might be coaching for his job here, man. Like, I hate to be rash about an NFC loss in week 3, but how many times are we going to have this conversation year after year after year? And I don't even necessarily think this was that bad of a Harbaugh game, but man, just the fact that those guys looked like they did not want to be out there is concerning to me.
The funny part is, and Brian, you brought it up in your first monologue there. Like, normally we get on here, and I said this after week 1, and I said the Ravens were narrative hell because it was so hard to talk about a team that plays so well and then beats themselves, right? And the worst part about a loss like this is, as you said, Brian, like, they just straight up got beat. Like, this is not the situation where we're going to hem and haw about like, oh, the fumble and then like the weird tip and the clock management was poor and like on down the line. Like, this is just like the Lions were straight up a better team from minute
like
1 to minute 60. So like,
I'll put it this way.
That's a measuring stick tight team. Go ahead.
Let me just briefly put it this way. Sorry to cut you off. Like,
no,
walking out of that Bills game, who I think are still very much a Super Bowl favorite, did we really feel like the Bills were like that much of a better team? No, we were saying the Ravens shot themselves in the foot, and that's what happened in that game. This one, man, this looked like 2 different weight classes, and the Ravens were on the wrong side of that.
Yeah, that's really, really well put. And that is where you start to get into the situation where it's even worse. You're like, are they even good enough if they get there? And obviously, looking forward, the Ravens play in an incredibly weak division with a bad Bengals team and a Browns team we've already beaten, and a Steelers team that is kind of weird and figures out ways to win each week. So, a clear path to the playoffs is obviously still there. But a path to sort of the upper reaches of the NFL's elite looks a little bit tougher based on how they played tonight. And look, the Ravens schedule opens up in about 3 weeks and gets very, very, very manageable, and they could easily find a gear and kind of roll and find their way into a better position. But they've got some big time things to address. And as you said, Jake, I've been in the same camp as I think most of us here on Harbs, especially, Spenny sort of like, hey, like, not all the stuff is coaching. Derrick Henry fumbling is not coaching. This is not coaching. But eventually when this stuff happens, you get fired. Like, as when you are expected to win. And so I like you said, this to me isn't a Harbaugh loss in terms of like looking at the machination of the game and being like, oh, there was a mistake here, there's a mistake here, there's a mistake here. But ultimately, the temperament and play of your football team is on the head coach, not a captain obvious statement there. And he, they're gonna have to take some accountability across in the building for that type of loss. So just concerning, just a concerning one.
Yeah, there's all these different attributes that go into being a head coach. You got your game management, you've got your weekly game planning, schematics, overall just having your guys, fired up and ready to play on a given week. And that's the part that's usually well covered, I would say, with Harbaugh. That's the stronger suit overall. And to see that starting to waver a little bit is the part that's concerning. And because they got beat in all those other areas I mentioned too tonight. So it was just a very comprehensive. And it feels a little incredible, even if we didn't score the backdoor touchdown there, to lose only by 2 touchdowns. Even it felt so much more demoralizing. It was just the notion that very few negative plays that we forced against them, where they were constantly, putting themselves in short yardage situations, and we weren't. It's just simple football. And that's the part I keep coming back to, having been in the building. And anybody listening who was there, I think, will agree to me. It was just a very, very deflating night of football to watch in person, where it just never felt at any given point like they were on the precipice of doing anything dangerous whatsoever on either side of the ball.
Felt like a bad tone got set by that first drive too. You kick it away, you're at home, you're in the All Blacks. Like, if you're not going to get a 3-and-out, you'd hope to hold them to a field goal. They march
the aura of the Blacks, like the aura of the All Blacks, is disrespectful.
Yeah,
to the All Blacks.
And honestly, defensively, they maybe forced 4 3-and-outs. I'd have to go back and look. Like, one of those was aided by a ridiculous call that the Ravens got in their favor. That was like the backwards pass. Like, rarely when it's on the edge there is that called a fumble. Like, that's almost always called an incomplete pass. So the Ravens get they get bailed out by that on one drive, and then maybe they had 2 other like legit 3-and-outs. Other than that, like, the Lions kind of did what they wanted. So, and look, we're going to talk about coaching. There's going to be the Harbs talk. There's going to be the Zach Orr talk. Like, ultimately, the Ravens also, just like man for man, we're not the better team. Like, they got beat in all the individual matchups for the most part. Like, Lamar made some great plays. Lamar was also super indecisive throughout the entire second half. Like, he was
that
clearly
led to some of the 7 sacks, right? Some of it,
like,
but.
Like, we were texting about this, and I thought Spenny made the good point. Like, he's not, when you stand there and you don't make the decision, to run and pass in the pocket, like, he's going to get tackled at the line of scrimmage by the spy, because he's not making a decision either to let it go or get out and kind of make a play. And then he gets up, and the body language is obviously up and down, as it always has been for Lamar. And I think that's just sort of a part of the Lamar package. And it's a 2-time MVP, historic type package. So you're going to take that where it comes. But in games like that, it's where it really gets exacerbated. We're like, all right, he's up again, and we're doing the whole, like, let's, kind of like frustration thing. I didn't think he was good in the second half after that opening drive. And obviously they didn't get much from the skill position players outside of Mark Andrews. And Rashad Bateman, I thought, had a nice game. Some stat padding on the final drive. But yeah. Just like, I go back to it, and there's going to be so much talk about the coaching, and rightfully so, after a loss like that. But, like, they got mauled up front on both sides. Like, that's just, like, talk about scheme. Everyone goes to scheme. Like, it ultimately, this is like the Jimmy's and Joe's argument. Like, they got beat in the Jimmy's and the Joe, category. Like, they just like Penei Sewell is just like doing whatever he wants down there, just letting people have it. And
you can throw out like the Matabike excuse all you want, but the Lions had young guys on their line tonight too.
Yeah.
I think Decker was out. Like, they were missing guys. And
2 weeks ago, the whole thing with them was like, oh my God, the Lions, their new offensive coordinator and offensive line, they figured it out in 2 weeks. They absolutely killed my Bears last week. And then they not throttle, but, pretty decisively win, 2 touchdowns with a couple minutes left. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah. It's just tough. It's just, they're making the adjustments. The Ravens don't seem to be kind of getting there, as you said, with the replacements, and guys got to step up. Like, Adafioye is in a contract year. We talked about this before coming on, Jake. Like, where are you? Like, I mean, you win a 1-on-1 matchup eventually. Like, at some point, somebody's got to make a play and win a 1-on-1 matchup. Yeah, and no one did on the defensive line tonight. I mean, there was not one. I mean, I'm sure there is, because you can go back through every single play, but, like, I can't remember one really, like, all right, that guy just won, and that broke the play for Goff. Like, he did what he wanted back there. It just sucked.
Yeah, no, I mean, Mike Green, same thing. Like, 2nd-round pick that everyone's raving about. I get that he's in a tough spot with Van Noy being out and getting pressed into action, but if you're this purported top 15 pick that's going to fall for character concerns, and the Ravens take a relative risk on you, and it's, well, they finally did it. They finally took a risk on one of these guys, and that was the missing piece. Well, if that was it, then you're in a tough spot right now, because he doesn't look like he's quite ready for prime time, literally tonight.
For sure. No, it's well said. Yeah, they just didn't have any of those guys step up at all. And I guess we could touch on the Henry thing again. I mean, it's like stunning to watch that happen. The ball, I mean, that was bad ball security. I mean, he's trying to sort of do the thing where he kind of like
It was the same play as Joey
Yeah.
Bosa too, like the long
Yeah.
arms with Hutchinson, just the long arm, just tap the ball out. Like it's crazy. And yeah, you're right with the reaction, man. That's bizarre, but yeah, it's probably just something that frankly he's not used to dealing with in life. And now here he is at in his early 30s and probably getting up there a little bit. I know, like you mentioned, he's got his regimen and everything and all that good stuff. But yeah, he just looked shell shocked. He looked like the meme of the soldier with the 1,000-yard stare. After, of course, he sort of let the frustration out a little bit. But that's kind of what this whole team looked like to me tonight.
Yeah,
it's what they look like to me in a lot of high leverage situations. They looked like that against the Bills a little bit late after Henry fumbled in that game. Like they do not have the killer instinct that frankly teams like the Bills and like the Lions and maybe like the Chiefs. We'll see what happens with them this season, but that they've had throughout the past couple of years, and maybe we'll see it next week. Who knows? But there's a spark that is just not there that they need right now. I'll go back to that word stale. Like it feels like just kind of the same mental issues and the same mental blocks we just keep running into. And I'll go back to it, man. It's not going to happen in season. I've already kind of made that point clear. I still think that's the case, but man, if you don't show us something big time throughout a regular season stretch, now being 1-2, and then hopefully in the playoffs, if you can get there, then I don't know. I'm thinking long and hard about a change at the top.
We're going there. I mean, it's that tonight is just indefensible. There's just period. It's to some degree as I'm walking home, I'm just thinking like, what is there much to say about this game? It doesn't feel like this team is deserving of our breath after that one.
The funny part is for me is I went the other way. When I was watching, I was like, there's a lot more to talk about for a loss like this, I think, than, like I said, like a 1-2 weeks ago where we do the whole circle about the self-inflicted wounds. To me, this was like, oh man, there's some like major deficiencies that are getting exposed.
Yeah, you wish
that maybe changes the overall like perspective on the team. Thankfully, the comments and everyone has solved it. If we get Keaton Mitchell back on the field, that is gonna really like make the difference. I'm a little over that narrative, but
you know what?
Now do whatever. Now do whatever. Now do whatever. But you would think Keaton Mitchell was Barry Sanders. So
but turn by Rasheen Ali, by the way, should have broken that one.
Great tackle by the kicker. But yeah, I mean, sure, roll him out there and see if he's a change of pace next week. Have at it. But I think there's way more deficiencies beyond that they're going to have to get addressed. And Jake, you said it, like, I think you said it 2 weeks ago on the first pod, was like, hey, I don't mind. Like, we kind of do the like, oh, Harbaugh, like, we're kind of like, don't jump into like the firing. And like, at this point, I think people can kind of do what they want. Like, we don't have to like gatekeep that take, like have that take. I think for like the last couple of years, we would gatekeep that take and be like, all right, don't be rash. Like, this is a guy that's been a consistent winning head coach in the NFL. But when you get to the breaking point of being a Super Bowl or bust type of run where you're, over the 4, 5, 6 years, you have Lamar Jackson, you have to figure out a way to get to this game, and they can't even get there or win it. Something has to be shaken up, and a lot of personnel has changed, and eventually you have to move towards the other stuff. So we shall see. It'll be a very interesting week where what a game to go into off of this. And you go to Kansas City, the ultimate boogeyman that you haven't been able to beat there, with no pass rush to speak of going against Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, I mean, EDC can't. Yeah, I mean, the OA thing, we said it on draft night. I remember it's like, oh, no sacks at Penn State. Oh, all the traits. He has 10 sacks last year, but I mean, they're getting nothing from him.
And that was like the funny thing, because like Ozzie loved his like try hard SEC guys that would get a ton of sacks in college but didn't have any traits. And then Eric kind of goes against that trend and picks OA. And maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe some kind of curse of Terrell Suggs or something. Once he left, once him and Doomerville walk out the door, nobody can individually manufacture sack production. Good stuff.
Except for Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
35-year-old Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah. No, and it's just like, that's kind of another thing, like sort of papering the edges of this roster together with kind of older players. And Van Noy's been great. Obviously nothing against him, but it's a matter of time before kind of the wear and tear might start catching up with them, and he misses this game. And it would have been a huge revenge game for him, obviously, that you would have had to factor that in if he played. Now I don't know if he would have made the total difference tonight, because, what if he generates 1 or even 2 sacks for you? Then that would have been the only 2 on golf all night. I mean, it's just like, it's systemic, man. Is it Chuck Smith? Is it Zach Orr? Like, it makes you question the entire staff, and that all starts up top with John, who builds it as well. So,
for sure, it's well said,
Brian.
I've told you I'm out of words on this one. I'm just so frustrated with it.
How gutless and spineless.
Just.
You know what? A close relative of yours was tweeting at me on the Everything app, and it resonated with me really well. Like, the team just for a long time, it feels like, has just not been fun to watch, even in the wins that have been fun. And like, I started to think about it a little bit, even in the wins that have been fun, there's kind of like a gripping the edge of your seat. Like, oh, they're supposed to win every game, basically. So like, when they get it done, it's just relief. And when they don't, it's the end of the world. And that's just kind of how it goes with high expectations. I get all of that, but I'm just kind of tired of seeing them wind up on the other side of these, not all that often compared to the rest of the league. But when you're talking about your Kansas Cities and your Buffaloes, who do tend to get it done in these spots, it's really frustrating, man. And they're might not even be number 3 at this point, but behind in the pecking order of Kansas City and Buffalo, Spenny, I think, said it maybe last week or 2 weeks ago. They're the little brother to both of those teams right now. And maybe they're a little brother to Detroit too, in their own way, which, obviously interconference and all that, but you got little brother again tonight. You got too small.
Yeah. DeAndre Hopkins did the too small at one point on the PI. It's funny. You get out of obviously I'm here in Chicago, and so not a ton of Ravens fans running around here. And I get asked when I say I'm a Ravens fan, what do you think about the year coming up? Before the year or last couple weeks. I'm just yeah, it's weird to root for a team that it's just a Super Bowl or bust situation where it's like a disaster every time you lose. And it's, as you said, Jake, it's a relief when you win. It's not even really fun. And that is such a good organization problem to have. So
it's a spoiled thing, but it's
to Bears fans, they're shut up, our team stinks. But it speaks that narrative hell that I sort of have brought up here before. And when you get to that point, you sometimes need that jolt. And most of the time that comes from a coaching move. As we go through the history of sports. Now that also requires you to hire someone good on the other end. You can certainly go to the other side where you take away the stability and you kind of go down the other side of the hill. But yeah, it's just, they're in a weird spot. And as you said, Jake, they are firmly behind. Obviously they've been behind the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have not been impressive at all this year, but they are behind that Bills team right now. And in the third quarter 2 weeks ago, I think we thought we were going ahead of talk about a gigantic shift in feelings about this team over not that long of a period of time.
That Overton window got a big time push there, exiting the halfway through the fourth quarter in that Bills game. But yeah, crazy. I mean, you're right that a coaching change might be that jolt that they need. Again, I'm not expecting it in season at all. That would be quite stunning if it were to happen. But
shocking.
Maybe after the season, if it were to, and I think you'll hear the refrain, you hear it all the time when this conversation comes up. Well, who are they going to go hire? I get the argument, but John Harbaugh was nobody at the time. They were all in on Jason Garrett. They got spurned, and they wound up with John Harbaugh, and that wound up being a great move at the time. Kind of the same thing with Billick. I think they were going to get Holmgren, and Billick kind of wound up being that second choice, and he wound up being the guy for them. These guys can come from unexpected places, and I know now this is a league where the trend is very much go get the young, exciting offensive guy, but I don't know. You could do that. You could hire another special teams guy. You could hire a young defensive coordinator. You could have done that 2 years ago with Mike McDonald, which I did actually argue for in the moment. I was like, this is the perfect transition plan. Just move it over to him. And if John wants to go into the front office, as some people kind of like to think could happen, great. If not, which I think would be the case, I still think he wants to coach, then he can go somewhere else. And and people saying, oh, well, he'll get hired right away. Well, that's great. Well, another team could hire him right away. And I expect that he probably would have some success if he wound up in the right situation. But it's just, I don't know, man. I think Spenny will probably talk me off the ledge a little bit. Especially like schematically, again, the roster just didn't look up to par tonight. And situationally, I thought everything was fine. This was not the worst John Harbaugh game that we've seen by any stretch. But again, man, I just keep coming back to things feeling a little stale, things feeling a little tight, and the guys just looking like they didn't want to be out there from the word go. I looked over to the other side at Dan Campbell, who just looked like he was having the time of his life, just totally locked in on every kind of second and short, third and short, kind of dialing up his fourth down plays. That fourth down call that they had ready where they handed it off to St. Brown, who then pitched it to Gibbs. When's the last time we saw anything creative like that? In fact, we tried to see it from Todd Monken tonight with that absurd pitch to Derrick Henry and then try the pass in the end zone, which probably should have been intercepted. I forget who was targeting there. You've got a wide open
Wallace. Yep,
Wallace.
Wallace in the end zone.
Throw it literally any other target there. Like, why is it drawn up for Wallace?
Yeah, well, I think the idea is that he'd block and release and just be wide open. But if it's not wide open, you just got to throw that away, Derek. But whatever. And then obviously other weird fourth down happenings when they were down there on the goal line might have been the same sequence where they were doing like, so one actually positive that it took from this game was they were working the hard count. They looked kind of like a pretty professional operation in the first half offensively. They were doing hard count. They were doing the cheetah cadence where you break the huddle, you go up and you just snap it right away to kind of catch them off guard. They were doing some of that kind of stuff, but it felt like they lost that game flow towards the second half. And I think that fourth down sequence where they didn't get it, that kind of took all that momentum away, and they started playing a little timid and a little more on the back foot. It's just weird. Weird game flow all around.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we have even a ability to do positives here, there was some good things offensively at times during this game for sure. Lamar made some really nice throws, and as you talked about, Jake, they did some nice things operationally where it was clear that they were trying to shake things up for the Lions defensively, but obviously didn't overcome the many deficiencies of the night.
And it makes you wonder about the future of the team, which, we're half an hour in. I guess we can maybe talk about the down the stretch of this season. And, it's not the end of the world. You're 1-2. I probably would expect them to get off the mat from this. I don't know if it's going to happen next week at Kansas City, but I could expect them to do that with the base roster they have right now. I just don't have any confidence that if they were to get into the playoffs, that the same frazzled, frantic, or kind of dead look in their eyes wouldn't return and they would just tighten up. And it makes me wonder, like, we saw Micah Parsons get moved from Dallas to Green Bay. There was rumblings that he might have been interested in coming to Baltimore. I didn't hear anything about the Ravens actually putting anything on the table for him. But the Ravens have, I think, throughout their entire history, coveted first-round picks to the point where I can't remember the last time they did not have one. It's been especially true of DaCosta, who's been willing to move second-rounders, but not necessarily a first-rounder. Man, if you could make it work to go and get like a Brian Burns or a Quinnen Williams or one of these guys, and you had to move a first-round pick, do you do that? I mean, is that something that you feel confident in? Do you need to get a couple wins under your belt to make it feel like that would be worth it because you're confident that this is kind of just an aberration defensively and they'll figure it out? I don't know what the answer to that question is. You'd probably have to give me a few more weeks to make it definitive. But if you do get to that point, especially when you find out the status on Matabike and what that's going to look like long-term, we still don't know. Not really sure, but that's something that I'd also consider if you do start to put it together, but this defense is still kind of missing that key player. Do you put away that conservative mentality, send that first-round pick off, and go get a dog who's going to help you at least contain the run game a little better and get after the passer? Because it's just unacceptable, man. Like, you got a couple sacks on Joe Flacco, great, whatever. The guy's 40 years old and he's a statue now. Josh Allen embarrassed you in this regard. I think they had one sack in that game, which felt like a miracle, and that was Matabike. And you had none in this one against not the most mobile guy in the world in Jared Goff. Just feels like they do not have the horses to tee off on guys, and that will be better when Van Noy gets back. We'll see what happens with Matabike. If he does get back or if he doesn't, like, do you ship a first-round pick off for one of these horses? I don't know the answer, but it's something you got to keep in your back pocket here if you're DaCosta.
It's well said. Yeah, I mean, and speaking of situationally when you would do it, I think the interesting part of looking at the Ravens moving forward is how easy their schedule gets. Like, we'll see with the Chiefs. You then have a bad Texas team
0-3
come to town. You have a Rams team that, look, the Sean McVay versus John Harbaugh. I'd rather have McVay, but you're at home. Maybe you win. Then you have my guy Caleb Williams and the Bears coming to town. So then you go to the Dolphins. Then you bring, I don't know, Carson Wentz, JJ McCarthy. Who knows? You go play them. Then you have I'm making the Mad Dog in this a little bit, but then you're at the Browns. Then you're home for the Jets. Then you're home for the Bengals. Home for the Steelers. At the Bengals. For the Patriots. I mean, it opens up. There is the stretch there if you don't do anything stupid. And the Ravens obviously have lost some stupid games, and they have given themselves not as much of room for error to do that in that type of stretch. But that can become, a 6 in a row, 7 in a row type of stretch. And so that's where you're like, okay, can they get it to a point where over the course of that, you get the all-important confidence and you figure something out?
And we've got the comment here from Donald who's saying it doesn't matter if it gets easier, they'll never beat the top teams. And I think that's right, but I think the idea would be that, okay, we've shown we can beat up on these jamoke teams 1,000 times over, and we've done it again this year, and we've gone on this big run. But if we want to compete, if we want to compete against a Bills or a Chiefs or whoever in the playoffs, let's not be prisoners of the moment of this win streak against the jamoke teams, and let's go get somebody who could be a horse to help us get over the real teams, which has been the issue throughout this entire kind of run with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take the mentality that the other games don't matter, that they win because you can't beat the good teams, then that's fair. Then just wait to see if they make the playoffs. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I don't have any issue with that take overall. But if you're trying to look for game-to-game improvement, I think in a situation where it's not as if the Ravens are like some perfectly made team, I think you do use those types of games to say, okay, if they start to win those games decisively, are they improving? And you kind of we obviously and fans make those analysis points kind of after those games. And Jake, as you said, like if they start to bottom out, they're not going to make that type of deal. Like they're going to make the decision that they need to keep the capital or draft capital because they need to go in the offseason and figure it out. You also at this point, like you want to if you make the playoffs, you want to put yourself in the best position to win. I mean, these games do matter. Like you got to go win the division and get to the end. Like stuff isn't just, they're not, it's not a birthright to just win it because people perceive them to be good before the year. You got to actually go out and do it. So I think it's interesting that their schedule is easier because both from the point that you made, Jake, and also like, sometimes get right stuff helps and you kind of get on a roll and you start to figure some things out. And a guy like Mike Green gets better and OA finds a little bit like, you're not made. These guys aren't done at week 3 because you lost a game. Like it's,
I mean,
we're doing the sort of doom and gloom thing, which is fine. It's a doom and gloom time. But
they were 0-2, and then they were 1-2 at this time last year, and they turn around and you get to 12-5, and that's all well and good. Like I said, that wouldn't shock me if they were able to make that turnaround and adjust some things, and again beat up on some lesser competition. But again, it's like you let this one slip through your fingers. That's not going to help you with home field advantage. I know it's an interconference game, but it would be nice to have the win in the back pocket if you were to need it in a tiebreaker situation. You already lost that one to the Bills. Man, if you want to be the 1 seed, that's a huge uphill climb. If you want to be the 2 seed, it just got a little harder. Like that's going to be tough. And so the question becomes like, okay, if we're at the trade deadline and we've beat up on a bunch of kind of crappier teams and we've already had our early bye, they've got the bye coming up in a few weeks, which hopefully will be of some help to them. Do we go and make this move and try to put ourselves unequivocally into that upper echelon and I don't know, try to really put ourselves over the top? I guess, man, it's all going to depend. I just have no idea at this point. I'm just kind of grasping for answers, and I'm sure they are too. But it's something that you're going to have to consider big time here because the old adage that was never more true than against the Bills and has been true a lot in the past is that the only team that could beat the Ravens is the Ravens. I'm not feeling so convinced about that tonight. And so like maybe you would need to make a move to go and put yourselves into that upper echelon and have that be the least of your worries, because I think they might even have bigger worries than that right now, which is a tough place to be.
For sure.
I'm just doom scrolling over here.
You're stewing down there.
Are you doom scrolling Twitter or doom scrolling the comments?
Twitter for sure. Yeah. Most points allowed in the league so far this year. Lamar, best quarterback to do XYZ with a losing record. Most points scored by a team with a losing record through 3 games. Just like insult stats left and right.
Insult stats.
I may take a shower tonight and put up the Dexter GIF. I may not wait till the morning.
Yeah.
I need to cleanse myself.
Yeah, put it up. Put it up. Do it.
How was the the stadium experience. It looked lit for what that's worth.
It was like all the ingredients were there for the stadium to have a great night. And it's just, I said it earlier, like they gave the fans so very little to even build any sort of momentum whatsoever, especially defensively. Like you start to bear down on a quarterback and you make him throw an incompletion. I mean, I guess other than that weird one where Goff was kind of across the line of scrimmage, kind of not, and we forced a punt on that. Like
he was definitely he was. If you have to literally be all the way across the line, his like
you have to be so far across for it to, but point being is like
he bailed them out on that big time.
We just
picked that up walking.
Oh yeah. We just did nothing to impose our will on them whatsoever.
Zero
on that side of the ball. And that's what a stadium feeds off of.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just go for Baltimore with all our, defensive pride and all that stuff. That goes for any stadium. And
it takes stadiums out of it when the visiting team do that. Which
that's the goal of from Detroit's end. But even in a game that was, competitive most of the way, usually that means there's a lot of back and forth and, the pendulum swings and there's moments, and it just didn't feel like there was a moment. No sacks is the reason, but like even then it felt like we didn't really put them behind the sticks with like a stuff on first down.
Correct. There were no splash plays defensively at all.
Just nothing. Like not even, I think there was one maybe like competitive pass where the D-back made a play on the ball and got to do the whole thing and like, whatever. Like there's just fucking nothing. They didn't give us anything tonight. And all the ingredients were there. The wristbands. Honestly, the light shows were very cool. And they
looked nice on TV.
It felt so empty. Like it just felt like an empty gesture, and to some degree.
Yeah, you'd think that they'd be even more fired up in an environment like that, and maybe you're just too short-handed or whatever. But if that's the case, then you got a lot more problems to worry about than your home environment, unfortunately. Which is tough because it's cool to see them put on that great show. We got a comment here from Eric Arditi. Can we get a comment on Jason Kelce and the band? What the fuck was this ESPN? Just what are we doing? Like, why? I'm so overexposed with the Kelce brothers. Jason Kelce is in every commercial. He's on the ESPN, whatever. He's in the studio shows. He's here. I'm seeing the podcast. I got this and that. And now he is desecrating the legacy of the band that wouldn't die. It's a disgrace. And whoever platformed him in that aspect needs to lose their job. I'm so sick of Jason Kelce. Seems like a nice guy, but I'm good. Brian, go ahead.
We do know that Steve Smyth did this like a couple years ago, right? But nothing else happened with that.
No, of course not. Yeah. No, of course not. I'm sure there were no famous viral video merchants that were actually joking about.
That was the last we heard of that.
Yeah, no, certainly. Yeah, hopefully Jason Kelce. I'm not even going to get into that.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that they would call attention back to that by doing this.
Yeah,
I think it was too like localized of a story for anybody to like. I don't think anyone like
the Steve Smyth.
I don't think
which part.
95% of the audience looking at Jason Kelce in the band outfit is not thinking of the Steve Smyth story.
Sure. Okay.
In fact, that didn't actually come to mind until you relayed me that anecdote.
Jake was so furious that Jason Kelce was spitting on the legacy of the band that's been moved around like 16 times in the last decade in the stadium.
Yeah, that's another thing. Let's get them a permanent place. Yeah, let's stop shuffling them around. It's like Milton in Office Space. I'm going to need you to move your desk as far back along that wall as possible.
Can't wait till they're just elevated above the field when they put the field suites in all the way around.
Yeah, no, let's just put them in like a helicopter.
2035.
Fly them. Yeah, well, they'll probably have a dome over the building by then.
I didn't watch. Was there anything good on the ESPN pregame? I didn't really watch, honestly. I got back. This is a 7:15 kick here in Central Time.
Your boy Stephen A. is one of the games that he was.
I saw that. Well, I did see that. Loved SVP on that pregame show. Just having him there is like a nice bit of calming influence. Just to have him.
That was good, yeah. And it's always like it's the best feeling in the world when they go to SVP at the 2-minute warning and your team's up. Is the worst feeling in the world when he's got that little smirk on his face and he's like, "We're going to talk about a big win here tonight for the visiting team," and it's like, "Oh, Scott, you're killing me."
Yeah, because Scott is so great to watch after those Monday Night Football games. You win, you get
the best,
like,
yeah.
Good analysis, you get a good interview. Yeah.
No, the Swan was great. Fastest 2
Yeah,
minutes.
I loved your tweet. That is so true. That is good every single week. I mean, Monday Night Football has gotten it together. Like Buck and Aikman are awesome. Everyone has a hot announcer take. Those guys are really good. I mean, they've been doing it forever. I think ESPN's rules analyst might be my favorite of all the rules analysts. I don't know the guy's name.
Yeah,
I don't know his name. He gets in and out incredibly quick, and I think he's right pretty much all the time. Whereas I like Sterator, but Sterator feels like he's talking to them for like 20 minutes every time they bring him in. We don't need that.
Yeah, Mean Gene is kind of, this is how he was in the league too. He knows where the cameras are and he likes to ham it up a little bit. God bless the man. But yeah.
So I'll just shout. That'll be my one. That was gonna be my one broadcast. Like I don't have a ton of like huge takes because Buck and Aikman normally keep it pretty clean and they bring a gravitas to Monday Night Football that had been lacking.
Dude, that
and it's awesome.
Jason Witten. Who else was in there?
Booger.
Oh my, yeah. Well, Booger was. Well, they didn't have a 3-man, and Booger was in the Boogermobile, so they effectively.
I might have this wrong. I think it was Tess and Booger, and then they thought Witten was going to be the second coming of Tony Romo, so they put him in the booth. And they're like, "What should we do with Booger?" And that's when they put him in the Boogermobile, which is a horrible era of Monday Night Football. And I think like Joe Tessitore's really good on college football, and he now does WWE. He's great on that, but. Yeah, that was a tough booth. And then Steve Levy and Ritt, it just didn't have a gravitas. Those guys are fine, but it felt like you were watching, and this is no disrespect to the guys, it felt like you were watching a 3:30 really good college football game on ABC and not Monday Night Football. You just have to have the right voices in there for MNF. And they haven't had it in there they haven't had it for a while. Like Tirico and Gruden was feels like a long time ago now.
Yeah. Which is tough. Tirico and Gruden, that was a good one too. And then they I guess Gruden got hired and they kind of had to, and obviously,
and Tirico went to
Mike NBC. Went back to NBC. Yeah. So, tough. No, yeah, overall it was a good broadcast, but yeah, that Jason Kelsey thing, that was maybe on the hot fudge shit Sunday that was tonight. That was the absolute cherry on top for me.
I read your tweet and I said, this is like, I could have written that tweet in your voice, Jake. I was like, this is a Jake tweet right here about Jason Kelsey and in the band uniform. But yeah, no, it looked like an amazing environment stadium wise. Looked like our lovely sponsor, Jimmy's Famous Seafood, put on a show at the old Tailgoat with two friends of our show, friend of the show,
Sam Polino did the anthem tonight.
Friends of the show everywhere. Friends of the show all over the place. That looked awesome. I was having FOMO getting the videos from that. That looked very, very fun.
Sam Polino liked my tweet. No fucking guts.
Fresh off the anthem.
Yeah. We were that checks out. We had a nice.
Speaking of the anthem, good Charlotte also.
Whoa,
fantastic performance.
Yeah. They showed a little bit of that on the broadcast. That looked lit, man. All the ingredients were there, but it was the gif of the guy like the timid chef like dropping the thing to the boiling thing and then like freaking out and running away as the fire sets all over the kitchen. That's essentially what they were cooking tonight. Tough.
I have to answer this question in the comments because we talked about this in our text the other day. Dennis Miller, Charlie Burr, is the stand-up comedian that was on Monday Night Football.
We talked about this.
We texted about this because Eric was texting about it. Yeah. So there you go. Dennis Miller did not go well for ABC. Some weird stuff. Kornheiser's been in that booth. That was a weird fit with Ron Jaworski and Tirico.
That is one of the weirdest fits of all time. Like I love Uncle Tony, but what an interesting environment to be.
That is a good segment of the ESPN oral history. That part about that Kornheiser and Monday Night Football.
Oh yeah, that was in that book, wasn't it?
That's in that book. It's a very good part of that book. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to get one of these comedy guys in there again. Get Shane Gillis in there.
Get Shane Gillis in there.
Hey, listen, college football player.
Get him in there. Notre Dame guy. He's gonna be on NBC with the clapper.
Oh my God! Can you imagine him coach the clapper? You got Florio sitting at the desk.
Clapper had to fill again on Saturday. They were in a delay in the second quarter. It was a full fill for Clapper. I was like, this guy's on TV so much more. It's stunning how much on TV he's on.
He's like their long reliever. Like when they need like a segment, they go to the clapper. It's like Nick Faldo when he would like sneak his own little segment into the Masters just to like make him happy. You know, the producer's like, all right, we'll give Faldo like a quick 5-minute bumper here to like make a break, and he'll like break down some hole very generically and in his posh British accent. But
should we do good?
Can we also do something about Carmelo Anthony always showing up in a Yankees hat? Like,
that's weird, especially if he goes to Orioles games a lot too.
Fucking read the room, man. I have no love for Carmelo Anthony.
Wow, I saw Derek Queen was on the field too. Love that.
Yeah, he does the whole like I'm coming home, New York City. So fucking then go to New York City. Don't fucking claim two cities. Be a New York City guy or be a Baltimore guy. Pick one.
It's a weird dichotomy. But, you know, Towson Catholic's finest, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, correct. Now, no longer a school, Towson Catholic.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right next to the great Immaculate Conception.
Yeah. I live right close by. I drive by it often.
You should wave to. You might be driving past Tina and Thomas Smyth out there.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
Towson. Oh, yeah. We're right around there.
Very good.
There you go.
He was at the Orioles game Saturday per one of our
Can I say though, good for if you're Carmelo, I can't really hate on these guys. Like if you're gonna get these invites, you get to stand in the field, you're probably up in the suite, like whatever.
Go ahead. Florida, don't wear a Yankees hat.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just don't put a hat on. Just wear a neutral hat. If you still
think he's a guy who might want to wear a hat. As a guy who wants to wear a hat a lot of the time.
Sure.
Jack Corcoran in the comments says he wears O's caps to the Knicks games. Maybe he's just screwing.
He's a little confused. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if Melo is like. I don't know if Melo's like watching inning to inning baseball of the Yankees or the Orioles at this point.
I think he might have better things to do. I would totally agree. But his son's about to start at Syracuse, freshman at Syracuse, playing.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's got things going on. Do we want to do? Because you want to do 2 Ryder Cup minutes here?
Sure.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's talk about another.
Jake, how confident do you feel in your guy Keegan Bradley?
You know what? I'm kind of liking him. You know, I like him as a motivator. I think he did the right thing by the team, not picking himself. It would have been great content if he had, but I don't know. I feel like he's a guy who's going to bring a lot of juice. It's not going to feel stale under Keegan Bradley. I feel like he's it's going to be essentially the polar opposite of Zach Johnson, and you're in a home environment. Like all the ingredients are there with that and all that, but talent wise, it might be a little stacked against the U.S., but that's just kind of like the Ryder Cup's fluky, and the home team usually wins. So we'll see what happens. And I'd love to. It's funny. I mean, this probably happens every 2 years because like the home team always wins, but. The home team wins, they get overly cocky and confident, and then they go and they get humbled. And I hope that's going to happen again because the Euros, and you were going through Luke Donald's video before we got going here, just all the great history and the great man Sevi and Dodo Molinari and all those statistics. Like I'm getting the Euros have their noses a little too high in the air for me right now, and I'd like to see them get stuffed in a locker.
I agree.
Sevi's honorary locker or another locker?
I wouldn't do that to the great man Sevi. Another one.
I want to give a shout out to the guy in section 528 that when all the wristbands, the lights, the stadium lights dimmed and the wristbands went into red, white, and blue mode. And it was a very cool environment. And there was an American flag out there. The guy who just yelled, "Fuck you, Rory!" Right when everybody quieted down. Everybody was quieting down where it was the perfect moment. And this guy behind me yells that. It was great.
Rory's just like in an Airbnb. Rory's like in an Airbnb on Long Island.
And Lex is just so confused by it. Like, wait, Rory's a golfer. Like, I don't even think she knows that he's not even an American golfer. So, yeah.
Rory, I can't wait till Rory gives like a 4-part interview to Golf Digest about how he's offended by the guy in section 528 and how he's just not, that's what gets him motivated.
Danny Willett's brother is going to
write. That guy's locked the fuck in. That guy brought it more than anybody on the field tonight. I was going to say
they did him dirty with their play on the field.
Yeah. So I hope we win for that guy.
I hope we do too. You know what? I wasn't sure about it. Now with that guy showing that type of passion, Keegan Bradley's going to whip up the crowd. I think we get it done.
You know, that would be a nice salve. And imagine if that were to happen on Sunday, they would win in dramatic singles, and then the Ravens would flip the script and finally beat the boogeyman at Arrowhead Stadium. Wow, what a thrill that would be. And we'll see about my viewing situation. I've got my niece's baptism on Saturday. Then I'm steaming down to Ocean City to catch the second half of Ocean's Calling. And yeah, this is gonna be quite a weekend for your boy.
Wow.
There is potential for some serious doom and gloom around 7:30 on Sunday next week.
Yeah, let me tell you, this is going to be a brutal podcast next week if the Ravens lose and the U.S. loses the Ryder Cup. Jake is just going to come on. His head's just going to be down on the computer screen. He's just not going to speak.
Yeah, listen, that's going to be that might be an all-time low. I always think back to the greatest weekend in Maryland sports history. What was that, 2 years ago? With the Orioles, with the playoffs and the Ravens, Steelers, Maryland
versus Ohio State. Maryland at Ohio State. Yep.
Let me just ask a favor. If it goes that direction, let's please not do an hour on it. I just can't do it.
No, I think if it's a double loss, we have to limit that to 30 minutes. Unless, at least for the three of us, can decide on that. If Spenny wants to keep going, he can. If he doesn't want to take it that pact, but I'm willing to make that pact with the two of you. I do not want to be on more than 30 minutes.
He'll still be on his Euro trip too, so he'll be on European Ryder Cup soil. So.
Oh my God, in enemy territory.
Yeah.
By the way, credit to Spenny who watched. He had been watching that thing till like 4 a.m. So credit to him.
I think he might have went to sleep and then woken up. And because what time did it actually start?
He's lashing out a little bit on Twitter. I saw.
Oh yeah, he's still rolling.
Is he?
Is he?
He's got a flight to catch. Yeah, so he might just stay awake because they're going down to Italy next. So.
What a trip for him.
Yeah, big time.
He's still lashing out. Nah, I have to look.
Yeah, he gets in those.
8 minutes ago. 8 minutes ago. Yeah, we're still rolling.
It's funny because
from Europe.
He very deliberately does not tweet like throughout the game. He'll like tweet at the half what his thoughts are and everything. And I think that's kind of his way of like staying out of the fray and out of the mix a little bit, which I totally get. But then like he allows himself to get sucked in after these losses, and he just has to make his point to these specific people here and there and there. I'm just like, man, you're just playing whack-a-mole with this. Like at a certain point, like you gotta just let it be. But to each their own. That's what I love about him.
What a night.
What a night indeed. Anything else, boys?
Take it home.
Well, the Orioles being at the Ravens game, everybody was like, "Oh, the Orioles!"
Yeah,
I love that.
Awesome.
I love the get one more shot in,
dude. Like amazing Instagram story from Jason Rodriguez standing behind Lamar as they were going up.
All good guys, love those guys.
Great guys.
I don't know that everyone's real fired up to see the Orioles right now. And
I think maybe some of that bad juju might have worn off a little bit. I mean, just talk about a man. Who knows where this Raven season is going to go? But as things are standing right now, it's been a tough 2025 for a Baltimore sports fan. As of September 23rd.
Here's a take I see stewing a little bit. There's a curse of T. Rowe Price.
Yeah,
both these teams have gotten in bed with T. Rowe Price, and things have gone south ever since.
Listen, I may or may not have a close family member employed there. So listen, I hope all good things for T. Rowe Price, but the results speak for themselves.
All I'll say is Maryland football 4-0. 4-0.
Yeah.
For the people that crosses over.
Big win at Camp Randall, which you were in attendance for.
Spectacular. Spectacular. Not a good Wisconsin team, but you want to just win as many Big Ten road games as possible. That was very, very fun. Malik Washington.
Are they going to be within the 25? Are they already top 25?
They are. No, they're receiving votes, but they are not in the top 25. I think they're going to have to beat Washington in a couple weeks, and that might not even get them ranked. They might have to get to like 6-0. The Terps are
Mike Loxley for Ravens head coach.
Listen,
Coach Locks. Bring Malik Washington.
I can recruit.
RDT, I'm not gonna let you troll me about a Mike Trout at almost midnight. I'm just not gonna.
We brought up his guy, Coach Locks, so he had to fire another bar back at you there.
Yeah, that is his guy. No, it was great. It was Camp Randall, Madison, spectacular, absolutely fantastic.
I just realized recently that like the topography of that city, it's literally like water on one side, water on the other. Am I correct about that?
Oh yeah, it's like this little.
Yeah. It's sweet. It is really sweet. The like pregame situation around the stadium, it's like all these bars, and it's what a great college town. So it was a blast. Go Terps. Washington in a couple weeks. I'm not even contracted to say this anymore. Go to the game. They should support the Terps. Malik Washington's really fun. Local kid. It's awesome. So hopefully they keep playing well.
I played Terps course a couple weeks ago, and I was looking at the stadium, and I realized, man, I've never been to a game there. So maybe I should get down sometime if they're still rolling.
Yeah, and the weather's been nice. So yeah,
maybe get down there. That'll be cool.
It's fun.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you had a good weekend.
Thank you.
Not the best way to end it. But
no, we did not end well, but it was good up until then. It's good up until then. I just can't wait till next week when we're celebrating. Keegan Bradley's going to be throwing down Michelob Ultras all over himself, and the Ravens will beat the Chiefs, and we'll be celebrating. Can't wait.
Just moonwalking off of Arrowhead Stadium's terrible field. Yeah,
you'll be fresh off Ocean's Calling.
Oh my God, what a time it's going to be, man! I can't wait. So excited that Monday drive back is going to be. I'm not going to be hungover at all. It's going to be amazing. All right, that do it.
I guess that line
at the Chiefs.
Yep.
Well, I listened to Guess the Lines this morning, so I do know what it was. I
this
it's moved.
Is this live? Just live line right now? Okay. I'll go Chiefs 1.5.
I was going to say the same thing.
Favored by 1.5.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Ravens are favored by 2.5 points.
Was 3. It was 3 when me and Jake's friends,
just a half-point move.
Bill and the Cuz did it.
Drake maybe.
We got Drake back to hook. Minus 142 on the money line.
All right.
Drake maybe.
We're gonna win next week. We're gonna win that football game.
I'm clipping
2-2. People talked about, hey, just get through this stretch 2-2, and you're not
too
upset.
This is the best. This is the comeback round and be positive part when no one's watching anymore.
As our president,
Cup, let's go
as our president said, nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
Well said.
Okay.
There you absolutely have it.
2-2 this time next week.
Bengals Broncos next week. Monday Night Football. Jets Dolphins. Monday Night Football.
Are we all still alive in the Survivor pool?
Oh, I took the L. I bet on Drake maybe in week 1.
Oh, you're already out. I forgot about that. Sorry, that was not meant to set you up there.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. That's just one of the many L's I've taken.
I hate that for you, dog.
Yeah, tough. Don't bet on Drake maybe. That's my
congratulations to Yappies, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that is one of the more. I had 2 of the more. Not this is getting into RDTs. Nobody cares about your fantasy team territory, but I somehow held off Banks with like a 20-point lead. He had Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry in our friend league.
Early touchdown. I thought we were.
I mean, that's like
cruising.
20 points. You'd think that one of those players.
I thought it was going to be done in the first quarter potentially.
Yeah.
And then I got 32 from David Montgomery to overcome a deficit and win by 0.74 in another league. So I'm sure that really makes everybody. Really happy. Happy to provide that. But great game, Brian. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, boys, for hanging with me here. Thank everyone for hopping in the chat. A lot of super chats tonight. A lot of very engaged chat, as always.
Yeah, comment section was awesome tonight. Good job, everyone involved.
They were lit. We appreciate you all very much. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to us here on YouTube, like our videos, comment on all, leave us a super chat in here if you're so inclined. If you have the financial means, it's tough out here. We're taking L's, a little financial boon never hurt anyone. I'm just going to use it to keep betting on the one big beautiful parlay, which has once again missed, and I will not be paying off my mortgage in one fell swoop. But we're just going to try it again next week. Keep hacking away. You'll get to that diamond deposit at the end of the tunnel at some point here. If you want to find us on social media, you can do so at Exit 52 Podcast on X and on Instagram and on TikTok. Also on X, you can find me at Jake Louque. That's Louque. Taylor at Taylor Smyth 10. Can't even get through this. It's such a terrible night. Brian at Barstool Banks. Spenny at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4. Eric at EDITTI 22. Appreciate you all very much for hanging with us in not such a fun recap, but we'll be back at it very soon to preview the Chiefs and then recap once the Ravens are 2-2 and the Americans have won the Ryder Cup. We appreciate you all, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon.